2025 has been the best year for film in quite some time. There is 42 films I believe that deserve some recognition from the past year. I'm going to start by going through some honorable mentions by genre, and then we will get to my top 10 personal favorites of the year at the end. One thing I have to say before we get into this list is I live in the UK, which means we get access to films at different times to the US and the rest of the world, so sometimes there's a bit of lag. So there might be the odd film in here that had a late 2024 premiere or a big release that's not made its way to the UK yet. And of course, this list is my opinion. These are the films that affected, moved, and inspired me the most. But I do think there are films in here that push the boundaries of this medium in incredible ways that deserve a mention too. And of course, thank you to everybody who has subscribed to the channel this year. I picked a great year to start this channel, so I'm very grateful. So let's start the honorable mentions off with some of my favorite directorial debuts of 2025. One of Them Days, a buddy comedy starring Kiki Palmer and SZA. They have incredible chemistry in this. Not enough people talked about how funny this film was when it came out. Genuinely, some of the best laughs of the year are in here. On Falling, a film about the loneliness and isolation of a warehouse picker. One of the most quietly devastating films of the year for me. Friendship. Tim Robinson takes the levels of social awkwardness to the next level here. It will make you cry with laughter or screw your face up so tight you can no longer see the screen. There's a scene in this with a frog that's one of the best things I've seen all year. Little Trouble Girls, a film all about discovery and sexual awakenings with one of the best final scenes of the year. Urchin, a thoughtful and raw homelessness drama that perfectly demonstrates the fight or flight response. Pillion, this is a Dom rom-com that is incredibly tender. There's so much more than you think hiding underneath all that leather. And finally, Lurker, a voyeuristic nightmare that is repulsively fascinating, and certainly a performative film for our current times. Some of my favorite comedies that I couldn't fit in my top 10 this year were Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy. This is the best film in the series since the original. It's much more tender and bittersweet than you would expect, but still with all the humor intact. I rewatched this one over Christmas and I think it's massively underrated. Sister Midnight, a film about an arranged marriage that spirals so far out of control the film starts switching genres on the fly in the best way possible. And No Other Choice, Park Chan-wook's latest satirical thriller. This is just as funny as it is twisted, with a masterful balancing of tones. No idea is left unexplored in this one, and this one actually does get its wide release in January, so please do check it out. My top animated films that didn't make it into my top 10 were Flow, a beautiful film about a cat's journey with no human dialogue. Neja 2, now the highest grossing animated film of all time and the 5th highest grossing film of all time. This absolutely blew my mind in the cinema when I first saw it. It is a proper spectacle with an Avengers Endgame level finale. K-pop Demon Hunters, one of the most creative, catchy and addictive films of the year. If you haven't seen it yet, I promise you it is worth it. It will definitely make you smile. And Chainsaw Man. This is the second arc of the manga adapted into a feature film, and the animation on display is dizzying. It's fireworks all round. The fight sequences in this will blow you away, quite literally. The first arc of the show is only 12 episodes, and I highly recommend that to you as well, as you do need to see that before this. Moving on to some of my favorite documentaries that couldn't fit in the list this year were The Perfect Neighbor. Told mostly through body cam footage, this doc looks at the horrible circumstances surrounding the killing of Ajike Owens and examines Florida's Stand Your Ground laws. Predators, this doc is a retrospective of the viral NBC show To Catch a Predator. However, it ends up examining a much deeper truth. This is a really fascinating watch. Tim Hecker does the music here too. And 2,000 Meters to Andrivka. This is the follow-up to 20 Days in Mariupol, and it's an absolutely devastating watch. This is not for the faint of heart, but I do consider it one of the handful of films from this year that is a must-watch. This film brings you as close to war as you could possibly get, and it showcases all of the trauma and devastation that comes with it. There were a couple of horror films that couldn't fit in my top 10. These were Bring Her Back, an incredible nightmare that is weighed down with a sadness that feels palpable and real. The Philippou brothers have really proved with this film that they are one of the most exciting voices in modern horror for me. And Frankenstein, Guillermo del Toro's fantasy passion project that has come so close to greatness for me. It's a story that I love, and watching this on the big screen was quite a special experience, despite some of the flaws I found in it. I think its second half, focusing on Jacob Elordi as the creature, is particularly amazing. There were 3 thrillers that I wanted to point out that couldn't make the list. Warfare, Alex Garland's matter-of-fact film that focuses on a single encounter. This is some of the best sound design of the year. Late Shift, not technically a thriller, but gave me some of the most anxiety I've had watching a film this last year. Leonie Benesch gives one of the best performances of the year in this as a nurse on an understaffed late shift. And finally, A House of Dynamite, Catherine Bigelow's nuclear war thriller. I know this didn't work for a lot of people, but I was so locked in during this. Its repetition for me added another layer of realization to just how close we are to the brink of devastation. And finally, here's the dramas / everything else that I had to unfortunately cut from the top 10, but absolutely deserve your time and a mention here. The Life of Chuck. For me, the best film adaptation of Stephen King's work this year. It's a film all about creating the moments that are worth living for. And its middle section with Tom Hiddleston is especially beautiful. F1 has some of the best action cinematography of the year. The race sequences in this are some of the best experiences I had in an IMAX theater this year. Lollipop, a proper hidden gem of the year. This film follows the story of a mother recently out of prison trying to regain custody of her children. There are bursts of euphoria in this film when characters embrace that are some of the highest highs I've felt watching a film all year. Die, My Love, Lynn Ramsey's psychological drama about postpartum depression. There is no equilibrium to be found here. It descends and descends and descends, and Jennifer Lawrence throws herself at all of it. The needle drops in here are especially brilliant too. The Testament of Anne Lee, a film about divine convulsions. Amanda Seyfried, as compelling as ever here. It's part musical, part epic, but bewilderingly cathartic. Rose of Nevada, a stunning, quiet, eerie time travel drama that gets lost at sea. Train Dreams, one of, if not the most beautiful looking film of the year. This is jaw-dropping cinematography, and there is no better backdrop for a film that is in search of a deeper meaning to it all. It Was Just an Accident, the Palme d'Or winner, directed by Jafar Panahi. Comedy masks the darker truths within this film, but it's some of the best balancing of tones you will see all year, with an ending that submerges you into what feels like total darkness. It's bold, brilliant, and thought-provoking filmmaking from a director who is facing a prison sentence when he returns to Iran for making this film. And Sentimental Value. This would be my number 11 on my list. I desperately need to rewatch it. It has such an incredible script with cinematography to match its yearning. Fantastic performances all round. It's a film that looks at the legacy and healing power of art and how it connects us all. And I was really quite moved by this by the end. And then one last film I have to mention is The Voice of Hind Rajab. I'm still kind of speechless when it comes to this film. It's another must-watch. The film is told through the real recordings of the Red Crescent trying to rescue 5-year-old Hind, a Palestinian girl trapped in a car on the Gaza Strip during the Israeli invasion. It is a necessarily difficult film to get through. And those are all of my honorable mentions. And just for coverage, these are the films that I have yet to see. A couple of them I have lined up this week, but in case you were wondering why they're not on this list, I've still got to see them. And with that, we finally reach my personal top 10 films of the year. At number 10, Good One. This is India Donaldson's directorial debut. It had its world premiere at Sundance in 2024, but it didn't get a wide release in the UK until May of this year. So I'm counting it because it is an absolutely incredible film. And honestly, for me, it's a film that I couldn't stop thinking about when I first saw it. Set over a 3-day camping trip, this story follows Sam, played wonderfully by Lily Collins, her father, and his newly divorced best friend. And it's more than a coming of age story. It's a story that is filled with deep internal conflict for each of its characters that starts to bleed out into conflict between one another. The trailer oddly paints it as a quiet horror film, and that's not what this is. It's a film that seems at first like it's trying to close the generational gap with a bonding experience, but the film does get darker and more unsettling, and deeper truths start to emerge. As said in my original mini review for this film, the film feels like it's flowing down a river. The way it drifts from moment to moment, trying to grab onto different branches but letting go too soon. There is so many thoughts hiding behind the trees in this. And as more context emerges, more light is shed on what's not being said. The film certainly loses some innocence as it approaches the end, and I think the audience does along with it. But it's quite a profound journey, and it has some of the most gorgeous cinematography of the year. The colors in this film are stunning. At number 9, It Ends. This is another directorial debut, this time from Alexander Alum. Currently streaming until the 9th of Jan on the new Letterboxd video store. It's been acquired by Neon for a theatrical run next year. This is a micro-budget existential horror film filled with never-ending dread and a constant search for answers. It starts with a group of friends on a road trip. Suddenly they turn onto a road that seems like it will never end. Each time they stop their car, they check their surroundings and they are attacked by a horde of people screaming and running at them. And this never ends. This has one of the best concepts I've come across in a long time, and its execution is so much more interesting than you would expect. Its existential nature gets under your skin. It reminded me at times of films like Primer or Coherence, It Follows, and even The Blair Witch Project. All films that have a killer hook that let their characters stew. The revelations that hit you in this film hit like the many metaphorical roadblocks the characters encounter. I love the way the script unfolds here. I found this to be a very poignant film, but the chemistry and interplay between both the performances and the characters feels so well established and real. Its search for meaning or lack of really makes you question your own journey. What a phenomenal ride this film is. At number 8, it's Weapons. Directed by Zach Kreger. I did a full review of this one that is linked below, so I won't spend too much time on this. There's a few others in this list I'll do the same for, but it's a film that feels like a scattered puzzle, one that you have to construct in the dark. Its central mystery grips you so tight up until its final moments. It's one of the most refreshing horror films of the past few years. Its characters and motives are the heart of the film, and the constant shifting perspectives only make matters more horrifying as you begin to understand what is happening to each of the people we follow. The visuals and nightmares in this film stay with you. Those kids running down the street is one of the most striking bits of horror imagery I've seen in years. At number 7, it's Blue Moon. I don't know what other praise could be thrown at both Richard Linklater and Ethan Hawke at this point, but they are both firing on all cylinders here. Set on the opening night of Oklahoma, but in the bar across the road, Ethan Hawke plays Lorenzo Hart as he roams around the bar spilling both drinks and stories. It's a simple, classic hangout movie with a fun meta piano backdrop and intoxicating conversations. Each verbal joust is better than the last, and once Andrew Scott joins the film as Richard Rogers, it becomes mesmerizing. I think I had a grin on my face for its entire runtime. This film gets heavier as the night gets later, but Hart never grows tired. He laments with an irrefutable hope. What a way to spend an evening. At number 6 is Sorry Baby, a film that floored me on first watch. This is Ava Victor's debut feature that follows the character Agnes in the aftermath of sexual assault. And the film depicts this incident with a long exterior shot of the house, where, as the film puts it, the bad thing takes place and time passes. It's one of the most effective filmmaking choices I've seen all year. The film doesn't get weighed down by its trauma, it confronts it and moves past it with honest and thoughtful character moments. It balances its tone with great moments of anxiety and humor that just feel real. Some of the conversations that take place in this film are beautifully life-affirming. Kicking off my top 5 is Hamnet, directed by Chloe Zhao. Based on the Maggie O'Farrell novel of the same name, it's a historical drama that tells the story of William Shakespeare and Agnes Hathaway. It's a delicate and elegant film with beautiful cinematography. Yes, it's got a bit of a slow pace, but it builds towards one of the best endings of the year that is more than rewarding. It earns its time, and the grief that is felt and expressed in this film is heavy and tangible. It feels strikingly real. I'm going to do a proper review of this film in time for its UK release in the next couple of weeks, but that final act means so much. It does recontextualize Shakespeare's words, but in a way that only makes them hit harder. And Jessie Buckley is incredible. And my number 4 pick is Sinners. The cat's out of the bag with this one. Ryan Coogler's vampire horror film is a revelation. It's been talked about all year, and it's also one of the first reviews I did for the channel. And I had no idea that vampires were in this when I first saw it. It's one of the best surprises I've had all year in the cinema. And it's just a fantastic film. It's roughly split into 2 halves, and I actually really enjoy the character building and interplay of the first half before it drifts into the From Dusk Till Dawn territory. Michael B. Jordan is so good in this as twins Smoke and Stack. There's some really great subtle differences in each of the performances he gives here. I think it's a great script and the score is to die for. And then when the party starts and that incredible wanna happens, it transcends. One of the best cinema experiences of the year, and it really does inject something new into the vampire genre while also still being playfully faithful to the lore. At number 3, it's The Ballad of Wallace Island. I think deep down, this is probably my favorite film of the year. It's just that the other 2 films coming up are so spectacular, I can't deny them. And frankly, they are just better made films. But this film I've seen 3 times, and I'm still very much under its spell. It's the most charming film of the year for me. It's about an obsessed music fan that reunites his favorite band to play a special gig on a remote island. Tim Key's comic timing and awkward wit steal the show here and offer very little pause for thought for the other characters around him. But it's just a wonderful little British film that is very funny and will have you tearing up by the end. It oozes heart, and its simple narrative structure can be predicted a mile off, but it just hits every note perfectly for me. I said in my review for this film that it captures that feeling of bittersweet nostalgia so well, a longing for a time that has passed and having the realization that it can never be again. But for a brief moment, this film allows its characters a window into the time that was. I absolutely adore this film, and please do check it out if you haven't seen it. And number 2, it's Marty Supreme. Arriving in photo finish style at the end of the year, this frantic, frenetic masterpiece of a film pulls no punches in its pursuit for glory. Backing up every single word out of Timothée Chalamet's mouth, this film isn't about ping pong. This film is about being the best and doing whatever it takes and smashing every obstacle in its way. And Josh Safdie and Timothée Chalamet sell it and then some. It's constant motion, hustle, and despite its period setting, it still feels very indicative of now. Josh Safdie has built on and tweaked every flourish found in either Good Time or Uncut Gems here, and then the score harnesses all that energy and reverberates it to stunning effect. This film is working in overdrive. It's some of the most fun I've had watching a film all year. It's got great performances all round, a stellar supporting cast, but Marty's motivation is front and center here. The film is a frustrated and anguished look at the drive towards success. No character or moment in this film feels like it means more than victory. The best films of this year have ended on incredible moments. Weapons has its comedic rug pull, the overwhelming goodbye in Hamnet, but the cathartic release at the end of this film is something special. There is a needle drop that is one of the most perfect moments in cinema for me. And finally, number 1 is War of the Worlds. No, I'm kidding, it's one battle after another. And I expect every list will also have this at number 1. And that's because, frankly, it's not just the best film of this year, but it's probably the best film of the decade so far. Directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, no other film this year has felt more in control of every single element available in filmmaking. From Johnny Greenwood's beautiful yet uneasy score to Michael Bowman's incredible cinematography, I will never forget the rush of experiencing this film for the first time in the cinema. It's a symphony of chaos and a reckoning of our world today by way of the past, of the generational trauma, of the fight that will never end. It's constantly entertaining, and at close to 3 hours, its pacing is flawless. And that great line, "Freedom is no fear," taken from Nina Simone. What a film this is. It's been praised to death, but rightly so. It's the best film of the year. And that's a wrap on 2025. Thank you so much for watching any of my videos this year. Despite the constant noise in the world today, I've never been more excited to be a fan of film. And this is a year that will be remembered. Let me know what your favorite films of the year were, but all that's left to do now is to thank you one more time for watching.